Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Philadelphia Eagles Talk with Geoff. And first of all, on the top of the show here, I have to apologize because I know that in my last podcast, when Matt and I concluded for the pregame, I said that I'd be there in the postgame show on Sunday, but slipped my mind that I was going to be leaving for the weekend. I was out of town, out of state, and I didn't just get back until today. So my bad on that. In fact, I even forgot to just write a little community. I did try to write a little community message, but it just wasn't allowing me to do that. So with that said, apologize for the delay, but the good thing is you can hear Matt and I's raw review. It's a little bit late, but at the same time, we're going to recap it. So we're not going to, we'll go through the Giants game. Let us know our thoughts on how they played. We'll review what our predictions were and how close we were to the final score. We both did have them winning, right?
Yeah, just not by that much.
Right. Both of us had them kind of squeaking on a win because, again, getting back to what I was saying, I think Matt even reflected on this a little bit, wanted to see it happen. This team was playing another bad team. Let's see them just go out there and blow them out. And finally, the team did that. So my initial thoughts before I pass it on to Matt is kind of just that, that we saw finally the Eagles go out and blow out a team that they should blow out. Dominate them from beginning to end. Well, can't say from the beginning because we continue.
We don't score in the first quarter.
We continue to add on to our unable to score in the first quarter streak. But outside of that, really a dominant performance. In fact, I had a hard time, and once we get to the thumbs up, thumbs down, I had a hard time finding any thumbs down, honestly. So, but obviously Barkley had a huge game against the Giants, so that was awesome to see. And what I really loved about Barkley is early on in the game, he showed how much this game meant to him. When that guy, I started feeling bad for their corners and safeties because every time Barkley had a chance to lay the wood on those guys while he was running, he would bowl them over. Especially, I think it was early on in the game. He took that little flat pass out there and just absolutely ran over the cornerback who tried to tackle him. And I'm like, all right, Barkley's up for this one. Not that he hasn't been up for any of the other games. He's having a great year. But so Barkley, obviously huge. A.J. Brown, another great pass. I mean, Devontae Smith was a complete I don't want to say it's him. It wasn't him. They only threw to him twice. So he just, I guess they didn't really throw the ball much at all. It was mostly run the game in the second half. They kind of they obviously took the starters out in the fourth quarter and kind of took the pedal off the gas. So anyone who had Devontae Smith in fantasy was disappointed. Because they just didn't throw to him. But A.J. Brown, another huge, nice throw by Hurts. Hurts played well. He was under pressure because the Giants couldn't get to the quarterback, but I think that he kind of stayed in the pocket, did a lot of things that I've been hoping to see from him. He didn't stay in the pocket the whole time. There was a few times he still kind of ran out a little early, but it was better. It was still much better. Trying to think what else. I thought the defensive line, finally. The defensive line showed up across the board. Huff with a sack. Carter, I think, had 2 sacks.
Josh Sweat got the first one.
Sweat had at least 1 sack. And then some linebackers. I mean, Nakobe Dean had 2 sacks. By the way, we'll get to Nakobe Dean. I'll give a quick little preview of my thumbs up because he was on my thumbs down. And you guys know that as much of a fan as I've been very level-headed with you all about Nakobe Dean and my criticisms of him because he's just not been good. But he played a hell of a game against the Giants, in my opinion. We'll see what Matt thinks about it when you get his thoughts. But so Nakobe Dean, major. I mean, now I don't know what to think about him again. But that's a good thing because I was really starting to not think that well about him. So Bond just continues to play well. Thought Mitchell is really showing that this guy is a solid, if not budding star at cornerback. Malik, we talked about Malik Neighbors and how they would have to try to shut him down. And Matt and I were concerned about, not having him go off for 100 and something yards and a couple touchdowns. They completely shut him down. After the first few set times that he got, catches early on in the game, and I thought part of it, of course, was the defensive line and pressure. But the secondary, when it did go to him, just shut him down. They clamped down on him, and that was a combination because they had both Slay and Mitchell on him most of the game. They kept rotating wherever he lined up. They just had whoever was out there in the corner. So Mitchell covered him a few times, Slade covered him a few times, and they shut him down. That was great to see. I'm more impressed by Mitchell every time I see the guy play. I love the guy. Same thing again with Cooper DeJean. Again, blitzed him a lot, was out there good in coverage, ran the kickoffs back or the punts really well. He was impressive on special teams. I was surprised at how well he was on special teams. I don't think I'm forgetting really anything else. Talk Barkley. So the offensive line did well considering no Mailata, and also lost Beckton earlier in the game. He went out with a concussion, and the line played pretty well. Giants have one of the best D lines in the league. They lead the league in sacks. So I thought overall they played well too. So that's it for me on my recap real quick. So Matt, your thoughts on the game. What did you think about the performance?
Well, I think I was right on a lot of things that I've been saying since the beginning of the season. And one of those is if you just run the ball behind this offensive line, and when Barkley gets tired, let Gamewell run, we'll probably win every game. So there's truth in that. And there's truth in the defense coming around now in the middle of October. And now we're starting to see what this thing is capable of. And, with the young guys playing really well, Mitchell, Cooper, those two guys, they're both football players. They both wear it on their sleeves. Like there's nothing too big for Quentin Mitchell. And Cooper has only played, 3 weeks now?
This is his first game. He didn't really play much at all, but really 2 straight weeks where he was in there quite a bit.
He's extremely quick. He's a good tackler. So they improve right there with him over Avonte Maddox. He's quicker. He's a bigger guy. He can make tackles. He doesn't get steamrolled like Maddox was. So those two guys are great. The offensive line of the Giants was banged up just like the Eagles were, but the Eagles didn't, they both were giving up sacks like crazy in the first half.
Yeah, it was a sack.
The Eagles were able to overcome that because mostly of Barkley. But where I was wrong was I completely thought Brown and Neighbors would be a wash, right? I remember saying that those two would just cancel each other out. Maybe a touchdown or two goes to Brown. Maybe a touchdown or two goes to Neighbors. But Brown was there and Neighbors wasn't. So good on Brown. That last pass, the one that seals the game at the end, I'd still like to see Jalen throw that ball out there a little more. Brown if that wasn't A.J. Brown there, that might be an interception because he kind of got away with a little bit of a straight arm before he separated to catch that ball, and then he had to wait on it. So Hurts has still got to throw that ball earlier, right?
Yeah.
If he threw that a split second earlier, Brown catches that in stride and probably just goes in for a touchdown.
Yeah.
But that was impressive. I thought the game plan was impressive because they stuck with it. Even as they're gaining all this yardage in chunks, I was like, watch them stop running this. Just like that's what all the Eagles fans are waiting, right? Give me the crazy coaching maneuver that's going to lose this game. And they didn't do that. So good on the coaches for just lining up behind your guys that are better and sticking to that game plan. I know Brian Burns played for the Giants, but he had a pulled groin and was questionable going into the game, so I'm not sure they got the best out of him, although he looked pretty active when he was getting
sack. I think he at least had 1 sack. Remember,
yeah,
he's a good player. He's really good. And they were lucky that Thibodeau's out, so they didn't have to worry about him either in this game.
Yeah, and ultimately, this is the get-right game that we were expecting to see against the Browns and have 2 of these back-to-back. So we'll see what we get next week. And the last thing is I think I saw Sidney Brown in there in the fourth quarter getting some game time. So good on Sidney. And all of a sudden, this young secondary is just getting better and better and better. And whether that happens first and it helps out the sack and the pressures from the D-line, or the D-line got there first and helped out, the interceptions and turnovers that might occur, it looks like the DBs are ahead of the D-line, but the D-line is starting to come together. And I honestly think it's almost like trying to score a goal in hockey when you just have been snake bitten for a game or two. You're just like, when are the goals going to come? So hopefully this is just the opening of the gates. I'm not sure it'll be a flood, but hopefully we can start getting 2s and 3s here and there per game, But we mentioned it during the Browns games. He was getting pressure last week, and all of a sudden he's a little bit more present in this game. So very good to see. I'm not sure I'm still sold on Dean. I'm like,
That's fair. I'm just saying I thought he played very well overall. So definitely much better than he did against the Browns.
Well, good. People that have
That
been listening.
That's a low bar, but
they are. But I've been a huge Vic Fangio fan ever since the Eagles signed him, and I thought they wanted him as a head coach before they even got Sirianni. So, I think he knows how to use players, and he will continue to change to try to build the defense to the strengths of the players he has. That's what he did in Miami. That's what he did in Denver before. So if he finds a role for Nakobe, that's fine. I just think at the same time, I'm like, well, if you had that scheme, couldn't you just put any linebacker there and they would have done the same thing? Like if they scheme the pressure, could you just use anybody and get the same result? So that being said, that's the counterpoint to your praise of Dean, but you still have to come
because I've been watching him big time the last couple of shows, because I've really been down on him. So when he goes out there and performs much better, I'm going to give him, and obviously, I'm still hopeful that my initial prediction on him will come through. I still don't, if I had to put money on it, I want it right now. But at the same time, at least he's a really good blitzer. It seems like when they blitz him, he finds the quarterback, he gets there. But I thought he just played well. But I'm not trying to coordinate him and say, oh, he's here, he's arrived. No, I'm not. I need to see a lot more from him.
Yeah, I'm not saying you are. I'll just be the balance for Nakobe. Maybe that's what he needs is just the simplified game. Hey, you're going to rush from this gap here, so just do that. Don't worry about anything else. Don't worry about whether it's a pass or a run. Don't get caught in a state of duh. Just go do the thing. And maybe that's where he's been. But I love Coop. Probably Cooper DeJean was the most impressive to watch on every snap.
Here.
Yeah. He's a very interesting piece, and I think we're just seeing the beginning of how Fangio is going to use him. But he is we needed tackling, and he brings it. Him and Chip,
and now Brown,
man,
Brown more playing time, I'm sure as well. And like you mentioned, it was good to see him get some. When they pulled all the starters, Brown was able to come in there and play most of the fourth quarter and get some. Get his feet on the ground after missing a whole year, test out that knee that he had surgically repaired. Because Brown, I think, just like Nakobe, not Nakobe Dean, just like Cooper DeJean, I think they're going to slowly start, using him more. Although it's a problem that the Eagles have not had for a long time. They're starting to have almost, I won't say too much depth, but it's like, okay, well, if you play Brown, who's not playing? Who are you pulling out of there?
I think I would like to see Brown in there on certain blitz packages and stuff, and just be mindful of, I'm always wondering about their conditioning. I mean, NFL athletes are very well-conditioned athletes, but at the same time, when you see a team in 2-minute offense and sometimes even 4-minute offense, and you have all go routes, and then you miss on the play, and you can't stop the clock, and all these guys got to get back to the line of scrimmage. I'm like, there's these points in the game where I'm like, all right, Brown and Cooper are pretty much they might be interchangeable. So if Cooper's tired, just take him out, put Brown in there, and let him run the blitz package, things like that.
Yeah, I like that idea. Or even for Blankenship or even CJ, put Brown in there if those guys need a blow, need a break, a few downs. That could be the plan. Who knows? But it's good to have him back. And that guy is just like a ball of lightning out there, man. And so that's why we love to see him out there, because he's the hitter. I mean, there's some hitters on this defense, but that's the guy that can he's like a freaking missile out there. That guy. That guy sacrifices his body on every tackle. But what kind of shows you a lot about Cooper DeJean, I thought, is the fight that this guy has. When he not even defense, when he was returning those punts, there was they couldn't tackle. He was breaking tackle. How many often do you see guys breaking tackles on punt returns? Usually it's the one guy that gets them down, or the first guy that gets them down. He was breaking through 2-3 guys. Getting an extra 2 or 3, 5 yards. that says a lot about that guy. I think he's got a lot of fight in him.
Yeah, he reminds me. He reminds me of Harrison Smith on the Vikings. And if he ever helps to be that good, fantastic. But he reminds me, he's a similar body type and kind of like a Swiss Army on defense, can kind of do all things. So
I like that. That's a very good comparison. I think that's a good comp. Good comp in terms of another player. He's got a lot of Harrison Smith in him. Yeah. Hopefully he ends up being that good because Harrison Smith was an all-pro for a number of years.
Yeah.
Anything else on the? I guess at this point, let's get into the thumbs up, thumbs down. So if you had, who are your thumbs up players? I know some we probably mentioned, but you have to give out thumbs up.
I'll go thumbs up to Jalen Hurts for having 2 back-to-back games with no turnovers.
Mm-hmm.
Just do that, and this team can win. So I don't need to see amazing stat lines. He only threw for 100-something yards and a touchdown, and then ran for another touchdown. Right? Was I think his stat line?
Yeah. So he only had 170 yards passing.
Yeah, but just do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he didn't play the last quarter. That was Kenny Pickett,
right.
But that's all we need you to do, Jalen. We don't need hero ball. You got other heroes on this team, and they just proved it. So kudos for Jalen for just taking a step back and letting the team do. You don't have to be Hercules and have the whole world on your back. So, or is that Atlas? That's Atlas, I guess, not Hercules. But just do that.
So before you move on to your next guy, I'll just say the same thing. I have Hurts on my thumbs up too for the same reasons. So you can go ahead and name your next player unless you're not finished with Hurts. But yeah, I totally agree with you on what you said on Hurts.
Yeah, again, Hurts demonstrated all the good things that people saw in him 2 years ago when we went to the Super Bowl. Don't turn the ball over, make the plays when they're there, and just be part of the team, not this hero every game. Put hero ball away, hopefully forever. So that's all I got on Hurts. I think.
Go ahead. You can go on to the next guy. I'll let you go first with these because I opened up first. So go ahead. Who's your next?
The offense.
What's that?
We're sticking with the offense.
You can go whoever. Could be offense or defense with thumbs up.
Okay. Well, I think Barkley he deserves 5 thumbs up, however many you can give. I know it's the Giants, but I truly do feel that this team can do that to pretty much any team they want to. So just keep the game plan. I don't want wizardry from the coaches. Just run Barkley and run Gainwell and run Shipley. That's all you have to do. Just stop overthinking it.
The old KISS method. Keep it simple, stupid.
Keep it simple. Keep it simple. You've got. Where did you invest before we had Barkley? You invested in the offensive line. Dickerson, they've been preparing for Kelsey to go away. Cam Jurgens was doing Kelsey type stuff up
this week. I mean,
that was a lead block it. And did you see? And part of it is they didn't do this RPO bullshit a lot of the time. It was just I'm handing the ball off. You didn't see any hesitation with Hurts. He's just give Barkley the ball. So I like that part of it. Barkley gets the 2 thumbs. And then just the game plan would be my last one, and just an overall pretty good performance by that O-line since they were so banged up.
Yep. Do you want to go deep too? Well, actually, okay. So you named. I'll just go. My next guy would be. We talked about him, Nakobe Dean. So I don't need to say much more about him because we already talked about him. But Nakobe Dean, I gave a thumbs up also.
I played well. I won't take it away. I'm just the really critical part of me is could anybody else do that too? Probably.
Yeah, you might be right. But he did it at least. At least he did it. 'Cause the week before, he did not do it.
Yeah.
At his right point, he was so bad against Cleveland.
Yeah. Because I look at his size and I'm like, why wouldn't Sidney Brown be just as effective in that role?
Especially if Sidney starts to put on. He's already built muscular.
Yeah.
He's sculpted it out, but if he starts to put on just natural more bulk as he gets older. Maybe he will be a small linebacker.
Yeah, just a thought. That's all. Just. But yes, Dean played well, and to have 2 sacks in the game, well deserved of a thumbs up.
Yeah. So, do you have anyone else for thumbs up? Can be defense also.
Well, so I guess guess a thumbs up to the defensive line. So everybody shared in the responsibility of getting pressure on the quarterback, and everyone was active. Even Williams was in there for a couple run stuffs, and just overall
Saw Booker as well in there on an early sack. I mean, I think the other guy, I think Carter got there first, but Booker was like right there.
Right.
So it was good to see him back in there because I don't remember seeing him at all against the Browns. I don't know if he played or I just didn't notice him. But
no, and it was cool to see. It was very cool to see the pocket collapsing with multiple guys, right? So it's like
there were some dudes a sea of Eagles that just totally collapsed on Jones. Yeah, that was good to see. Yeah, especially since the Giants don't have they have a much better line, but they were without their star lineman who's out for the year, and Thomas.
Yeah,
but they had those other guys that were step ups from last year, like at the guard positions. So, and that's where the Eagles were getting most of their pressure was from right up the middle.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes,
Yeah, on guys like John Running's kid,
Right, he was in there, and I think their center was like a second-round draft pick, so he's a highly regarded guy, and they've had a better line this year. I mean, the Giants have been talking about all season, but they were without their main guy, and Eagles were without Mailata, But I also have the defensive line on there as well for the same reasons we're talking about. I thought they really showed up and they were feasting. I mean, Daniel Jones.
God, a rough day.
That game is, as from a Giants fan perspective, man, that could not have been a more worst scenario that played out in that game. Barkley only plays 3 quarters and almost runs for 200 yards. Unstoppable. You're running over your guys. No, I even saw Giants fans say, I never remember seeing Barkley run like that.
Yeah.
And now they just may have forgotten because obviously he was very good early in his career before he started getting hurt. But and then to see Daniel Jones, who they basically paid, they decided to pay him instead of Barkley, just go out there and just completely shit the bed the whole game. I mean, he didn't throw any picks or turn it over, but he was terrible. I mean, at the same time, he didn't really have a lot of time either, but.
No, and the coverage was good. So,
yeah.
With Neighbors if Neighbors wasn't on the field, I'd be like, well, okay, we beat a really, really bad team. But I'm like, we shut down Neighbors. So, yeah, just a total team defense. Yeah, and even if you were to go on social media, everyone's like, well, the Giants don't have a team. I'm like, it's hard to win in the NFL. And
the Giants are better. They're not as bad as they were last year.
Right. And it just comes down to, we know how talented this Eagles team is. So you're supposed to beat those teams that you're supposed to beat, and you're supposed to do it this way.
Yes.
So, it wasn't a close one. The Eagles, I guess the first quarter was close, but as soon as we decided to just stick to the run game and then start running a couple passes to AJ, it was like that game. You never felt like the Eagles were out of control of that game. Like they dominated basically from start to finish.
And you remember I mentioned this last podcast we were on. I said I'd love to see them start using the play action. And the more Barkley continues to just have all these huge games, that is going to work, but they still have not put that in their offense. And I'm like, man, Kellen Moore, it's like flashing. Should be like, hello, start some play action fakes to Barkley and hit these guys down the field. And maybe that'll be a play in the second half of the year. But I'm like, God.
Just don't keep Hurts a running quarterback. Just do the play action. Let him just commit to the play and just go that way. These RPOs, I am so sick of the RPO offense.
Yeah, I'm not liking me either.
I don't see it very much for anybody.
It's like anything else. They had their time and space in the lineage of the NFL, and like the run and shoot and all these other type of offensive concepts, and the defensive players and coaches and the opposing teams all go to work in the offseason about it. They all start doing their homework on how to stop it. Well, how can we stop this from happening, or these big plays on the RPOs? And they've done that because the Eagles have not been nearly as successful in RPOs.
No.
We're almost 2 years.
Every time they do an RPO handoff, I'm like, all you're doing is making the running back hesitate. So I'm like, okay, you read the end if he's crashing down, but now for what? The gain of 2 yards.
Right.
Yeah. And then if you do pass it and you pull it back, if it's not Hurts keeping it for a run, he pulls it back, but now there's the offensive lineman downfield for a legal man downfield. And so it's like just run the ball and do it, or play action it and pass it, and take the rest of the guessing game or the stuff out of there. Like you said, run it to Barkley, and as soon as he starts mucking up a defense like this, the pass plays will be there.
Right. As soon as they start bringing in the safeties, play action.
Yep. And we got the guys to beat those guys one-on-one. Whether it's Smith,
you got the tight end too. Once Goddard comes back, or even Calcaterra's got speed over the middle. So that's what I'm like. And Kellen Moore, I'm trying to remember. Like, did he run play action with Ezekiel and Dallas
all the time?
I thought he did.
I
thought he did. So why is he not incorporating that into this team? The only reason why I'm thinking that they're not is maybe they don't think Hurts could be, like you were just saying, a pocket quarterback. Maybe they don't think he's capable of doing it. I don't know.
That, or it's Sirianni's impact still of his offense of the RPO that he brought over.
Right.
So, it's one of those two things. But no, the tight ends, especially in Dallas during Kellen Moore's time there, they were always hitting those seam routes.
Right. Okay, that's what I was asking, because I could swear they did when they had Ezekiel in his prime, and they had, who's the tight end that was freaking awesome?
Ferguson, but I'm not sure if that was the one
before Ferguson. The guy that was really good forever. He killed the Eagles. That guy.
Oh, Witten. Jason Witten.
Yeah, Jason Witten.
Yep.
Yeah. So I totally agree with you. The RPOs, I mean, I would bury those. Bury it.
I hate them. So what? You beat the defensive end, you get him guessing, but the rest of the defense knows what you're doing. So just
they're waiting. Yeah. Do you have anyone else for thumbs up? I got one more.
I did. Who was I thinking of? Well, go ahead.
Well, I just have Mitchell and Slay for how they shut down Neighbors. I basically put both of them in that slot, that category.
Kenyon Mitchell's looking like a total stud, and
Slay, I'm loving this guy more every week.
Yeah. And he almost had another interception, so he's gonna get one soon.
Yeah.
Maybe it's against Burrow. I don't know. Yeah. I'll tell you what, that'll be fun to watch, is Jamar Chase versus Mitchell, and let's see what happens.
I want to talk about a test. Yeah, this is going to be, when we start talking about Bengals game, that's going to be a key matchup, man.
Yep.
Because Chase is back, as is Burrow.
He's back. Yep, and Burrow's on his game too. So
so that's going to be a big time test for both of those guys. All right, so how about thumbs down? I only have a couple, and they're not really players. My thumbs down, first quarter offense. Goes without saying. Some reason, again, my point last week, this is when your coaching staff is supposed to be coaching and strategizing and planning, and nothing again.
It's so ridiculous. So I mean, not even a field goal. Like, how do we have
0 points?
Crazy. That's a crazy stat. That's a crazy stat.
Good teams. You can't go a whole first quarter, all these games, expect to win, being shut out all the time.
No. And look how well this defense played when we had a 2-score lead. So it's like, God, can we get somebody else? So, like, give it to the rookie, like whoever your newest coach is on the staff. Just task him this week to come up with the first 15 plays and just go with it. Because
have somebody. Just try someone else.
Yeah, maybe farm it out to the fans and let us submit some plays, and pick from that pool. But what we're doing ain't working. I would agree with that. With thumbs down.
One of those teams this week that are going to score. So the Eagles, you can't have another quarter where you just shut out. I mean, Cincinnati's going to put numbers up, I'm sure.
So I don't know if it's a thumbs down on offense, but it's somebody I expected that would have had a bigger game was Calcaterra playing in for Goddard. So I was surprised that he only caught like one pass. So I thought, because that guy can play and he's faster than Goddard. So I thought with Goddard being out that he would have caught 4 or 5 balls for maybe 70-ish yards as a ceiling. And instead he was very, very quiet. But maybe that's because Barkley was just mashing him up on the ground. Who knows? But so I don't know if it's really
down. I mean, did Hurts even have 20 passes the whole game? I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Maybe it was like 14 of 20 or whatever he was, 17 of 20. So they didn't really pass much. So I think that's part of it. I mean, I would have liked to see them give them throw the ball a couple times. Like I said, even Devontae Smith only had 2 throws to him.
Yeah.
So they didn't even use him at all.
Didn't need them, and they still got 28 points. So
Right.
I'm good with that.
And they pulled their starters, in the fourth quarter. So my other thumbs down was too many tush pushes. I mean, you have Barkley. You have Barkley. They ran like 3 or 4 tush pushes at the 1 or 2 yard line. I'm like, just give the ball to Barkley. You don't have to tush push anything.
Nope.
I mean, I know you have Barkley in fantasy.
Yeah,
like,
I was dying. And so was
Barkley.
everyone betting parlays on it through FanDuel and stuff. Like you people are waiting for Barkley to score, and here we go with the tush push. Now with the tush push,
yard, guys. I mean, especially the touchdown run he had, he pushed 3 yards in.
Yeah,
it's like,
yeah.
So why are you running tush pushes? There's too many too many. I never was a huge fan of that play anyway. I think it has a purpose, more or less, for 4th downs when you really need to keep a drive alive. Then 1st down and goal at the 1.
Yeah, you're limiting if you're not testing some fade passes and things like that, you're limiting your creativity. And I guess they're doing it because they just don't want to have any turnovers down there. But I'm like, you could fumble a snap or have something else go wrong anyway. So just I don't like the fact that it limits their creativity to figure out a way to score otherwise.
It's 100% true. And and it's not being as effective. That's why they had to run it 2 or 3 times to get a yard now. It's like, it's not even, you're not as good. Kelsey's not there anymore. You didn't even have Mailata. Just hand the ball off to Barkley.
Yep. That's all you have to do.
So
keep it simple, stupid.
Yeah, exactly. Get back to the KISS method. I might name this title for the show.
Right?
Keep it simple, stupid Eagles.
Run the KISS offense.
Yeah, the KISS offense. So do you have any other thumbs down or any thumbs down other than Calcaterra?
Not really. Everything else was pretty good. The clock management was good.
It was.
Everything. I don't really have any faults for anybody. A lot of folks were talking on Nick Sirianni. I saw a lot of comments on different posts about when he sat down and talked to Barkley, and I'm like, dude, that's Sirianni's coaching style. A lot of folks were like, oh, if that's Belichick or somebody, they would have told him they're not going to do. I'm like, no. I'm like, a lot of coaches would do that. Was
good at Sirianni's part, and I thought Barkley's response was even better.
Yeah.
Talk about a guy who's completely unselfish.
Yeah, and Sirianni, if he said, "Hey, you know what? Let me get one more series to go for it," Sirianni would have been agreeable to that, and that's a coach communicating with his players. There's nothing wrong with that. So
I have nothing wrong with that at all. I think it's good. Yeah. I didn't even hear any of that blowback. So some Eagle fans were.
It was just reading, if you read the comment chains long enough, you'll find the idiots out there. So a lot of folks are just like, this coach wouldn't have done that. That coach wouldn't have done that. And, I'm like, it's a different age, man. There's a reason why these younger folks are talking to their players. Like Mike McDaniel would have done the same thing in the Dolphins. All these young guys would. Sean McVay, Zach Taylor, like all these guys would have done the same thing. So I don't have any problem with that at all.
Yeah, and hats off to Barkley for saying, let those other guys play,
Yeah. So and he stuck to it. It was almost like Nick was convincing him. He was like, I'm going to ask you,
sure? Are you sure?
Yeah. You don't want this. And he's like, because his first response, I didn't hear it at first. I had to watch it a few times, but he said that right out of the gate. Like, no, let the other guys eat.
Right.
Nick's like, well, you're
only 13 yards away from your record.
Yeah. With one more handoff, you might surpass that by 50 the way this game is going. So, and he's like, no, I'm good. Let the boys eat.
Yeah.
So, and that was cool because it got Shipley in the game and he had a couple carries at the end.
Shipley play because we've been talking about it the last couple of weeks. I've been saying, where's Shipley? So, it was good for him to get into the game. And like we talked about, Sidney Brown to get into the game, get some playing time, because otherwise he might not play much in that game.
Yeah. One more at least one thumb up is Gainwell. Because he's still able to run that ball and push. He didn't have any explosive plays, but he was pushing that pile 6 to 9 yards carry either at the same time when Barkley needed a break. So good on Gainwell.
I'm not a huge Gainwell guy, but he's like the perfect complement. He's good. He's runs the ball a lot stronger than you think you would with his first size. He's obviously like the exact type of what do you call it? Sort of interchangeable or complementary, that's the word I'm thinking of, running back to the bulldozer Barkley, to have that guy in there who's much smaller and kind of It's a different, so they complement each other well. And Gainwell, there's a lot to be said when you're on the bench the whole game, sitting there cold the whole game. Not necessarily cold yet in terms of weather, but just cold because you're not being game action. And to come in there and not fumble the ball and to be productive, that's not easy to do. Come off the bench like that.
No,
no. So but they still, one thing I don't like, they still bring him in sometimes for entire. And maybe they're just giving Barkley a break. I guess that should be okay too. But it happened in the Giants game too, where he was out there for like an entire series where they pulled Barkley out of the game. I guess it's all right, but it's like you got Barkley, freaking use the guy.
Well, I do think if the Eagles make the playoff, that you'll see a lot of Barkley.
Yeah.
I think they're just trying to be smart with a 17-game season and get him all the way there healthy, right? Because injury history number one. I mean, look at all the guys that got injured this past week. Holy cow! Like Enders for go back 2 weeks, right, to Hutchinson's injury with the Lions, and then
major bad injuries too. Like the guy I felt terrible for, and was Godwin at the end of the Tampa Bay game. Total garbage time. They're just running the clock. They were getting killed. And there's like the second to last play of the game. You're just trying to get the clock done, and the guy just totally dislocates his leg. I felt terrible for that guy.
Yeah, him, Brandon Ayuk. He's got
a out for the season.
Torn MCL. It's just brutal.
Star players, not even just big injuries, but to star players. And like Mike Evans, might have tore his hamstring earlier in that game. Like Tampa Bay has no receivers right now.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see what happens to them. Yep.
By the way, getting back to fantasy, I know we kind of touched on this. You were busting my team. By the way, first win of the year.
Oh, did you win?
Barely. I had a 28-point lead going into Monday night against Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry goes the entire first quarter with just 23 yards. I'm thinking, finally. But at the same time, never thought that I was completely safe because Derrick Henry is one of those 2 or 3 backs in the league that can go off on the second half. And sure enough, first or second carry the second half, 80 yards down the field. Yep. Thank you, whoever the Tampa Bay Buccaneer was who actually tackled him at the 4-yard line, because I would have lost if he didn't make that tackle. And then I still had to hang on because then it went from a 28-point lead to 16 within that one run because he went over 100 yards. So he got all those bonus points. Then later in the game, they throw to him for a touchdown, which got him to within 4 points. And there's 5 minutes left in the game. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. Damn it. Get him out of the game.
That's funny.
So, yes, I held on. But anyway, getting to fantasy, good. The top scoring team or top scoring player, I'm going to ask you, and maybe you know who it is. Who's the top scoring player in our fantasy league right now? Who would you say? And we'll get back to the Eagles. But I know that most viewers probably play fantasy football. So
yeah, I got Barkley, and he's not number one, or at least he wasn't before this week. He was third. So the 2 guys that were ahead of him, who was up there? Was Chase up there? Jamar Chase?
He is one of the top receivers. He might be the top receiver, but it's not him.
Burrow?
He's second in quarterback.
Who?
To the guy who's actually the leader. The answer to the question.
Is it a running back?
No, I just said Burrow's I just said Burrow is second to the one who is the correct answer. So, okay, I guess it doesn't totally give away that he's a quarterback, but now I'll just tell you he's a quarterback. I was thinking for a second that I just said he's a quarterback.
Oh, it's got to be Lamar at this point. Lamar Jackson.
Well, he is.
He just had a 5 touchdown game and a 4 touchdown game.
Lamar's third. Lamar might be third. Either he's third and he's either second or third, and Burrow's the other. They're both 2 and 3. I just can't remember the order. Well, who's first?
Josh Allen?
Nope. These are good guesses, but nope. Here's the thing, Matt. This is why this is a perfect question for you.
This is why we need comment live.
Huh?
This is why we need comment chains live.
I know. This is why once we start doing live streams, we'll have people.
Oh, it's probably Baker.
Who?
Was it Baker?
Yes. Baker Mayfield is the top scoring player in fantasy.
Yeah,
He
I
leads
drafted.
the NFL in touchdown passes.
I had a hunch on that because I drafted him to back up
Yeah,
Hurt.
well, that's why I said you're the perfect person to answer this question because Matt has him on his team, but he plays Hurts every week, except maybe
Yeah, I've only played Baker for like 2 weeks. I
Yeah.
did play him last night though, or Monday night, and and that's what sucks though. I have Godwin. Godwin's gone now, and all of a sudden my wide receiver room is really really slim.
Well, plus he doesn't have any receivers anymore.
No, so I just
receiver.
picked up all the Tampa backups.
I know that. Yeah.
Emerges.
One of them's gotta. They're probably gonna make a trade. I mean, they have to. Because even though they say Evans is coming back by like week 12, he couldn't even move. He looked like he tore his hamstring. I mean, I'd be surprised.
No, what's funny? So what's crazy about that though is the Chiefs just traded for Hopkins today.
I heard
that. So DeAndre Hopkins is yeah, and then 2 other teams swapped linebackers, which I thought was an interesting trade. Tennessee and somebody swapped linebackers. I was like, that's
what's his name just signed with Texans too. Our linebacker that never played it down. White.
Devin White.
He just signed with the Texans.
Well, good luck. Good for him. We'll see what he can do. Nice to see what he can do on a different team. We'll see.
Yeah.
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 So yeah. Anyway, back to the Eagles.
Too, so.
As we went.
All right.
Went off. So the
Bengals
are next up, and that game is in Cincinnati, right? They're on the road.
I think so. Yep.
So Bengals playing a lot better. Burrow, and we were just talking about his numbers. Burrow's back. He's one of the top passing quarterbacks in the league. Chase is back. I think he is right now the top wide receiver in the league.
They can run the ball decently too.
Well,
and Zach Moss.
Brown. This is also the brotherly game.
Yep.
So Chase and Sydney will be playing against each other. So that's a good story. Tell you what, his brother's a pretty good running back.
Yeah. No, he is. He's explosive. He's a football player, just like Sydney is. I'll tell you what, Chase is enough trouble, but Higgins, the fact that the cornerback have their work. I mean, this is a great test for Slay and Cooper and Quentin to see if they can hang with probably the best offense when they're all together. Now their offensive line is still
be the best wide receiver tandem they'll face all year. I'm trying to think who else is on the schedule. It's probably it. Because Dallas only has CeeDee Lamb.
Yep.
Who else is on? I mean, the Ravens don't have. They have Zay Flowers. That's about it. Who else?
Yeah, Bateman's coming alive over there though a little bit.
Bateman's starting to come alive. Yeah, that's true. He's starting to be their deep threat.
Yeah.
But that's still not the caliber of Chase and Higgins.
No, they're probably
the best the best tandem they're going to face all season.
Yeah, Chase and Higgins is right up there with AJ Brown and Devontae Smith. Like that's equal as far as you go. So we'll see. What a great test, and what a great game to have after that Giants game where they just gained a bunch of confidence. So if they just shut down
getting to the quarterback, because that again is the Bengals' weakness. They don't have a good line to protect the Burrow.
Nope.
And if you don't get the Burrow, you're not going to win. So I think that's in my first key to the game. I might as well throw it out there. It's the defensive line pressure on Burrow.
You know how excited Quentin Mitchell's going to be if his first interception of his career is off of Joe Burrow?
Yeah.
And he is going to go through the roof with confidence. I mean, he's already kind of through the roof with confidence, but he just needs that interception.
He's going to get a test this week, though, because Higgins and Chase.
Yeah. Going to be a good one to watch. Like, that's what became exciting,
Yeah.
But again, what's the best way to beat them? Keep them off the field. Run, park. Just run the ball, play ball control offense. It's boring like the 1986 and 1989 Giants, but just do it. Just do it. That's all. Keep it simple.
Yeah. So now nobody, as far as injuries, the one fortunate thing outside of the win, especially playing in that crap field, the Eagles got out of that game outside of Becton's concussion, which is not even field related. I don't think it was. I don't think he banged his head in the field. I think it was probably trying to stop Dexter Lawrence from killing Hurts. They're pretty healthy coming out of the game. Like, I don't think there was anybody got hurt. So they're pretty healthy. The They're still going to be without. By the way, I mentioned how last week I was surprised that Mailata said I'm only going to be out a couple weeks, and I'm like, I don't know. He's out. They put him on IR, so he's not going to be back for a month.
Okay.
You know, they're going to be without him. Think through the Dallas game. They're not even going to have him for Dallas, I don't think, unless he's back for that game. Yeah, but so no Mailata again. But otherwise, I don't think Goddard will be back either yet. Probably not.
No.
Otherwise, there should be pretty healthy.
Run the ball. Clearly, these guys can block, so run the ball.
Yep. Just real quick, getting back to the Giants games, I forgot to say. So, Matt, your prediction for that game was 21-17.
Yeah.
Yep. And mine was 23-20. So we both were, especially for the Giants. I'm actually thinking back. I'm like, why did they have it so close? And it just tells you where my confidence was in this team heading into the game, because normally I would take the Eagles to kill the Giants. But that'll be close. But thankfully, finally, they had a game where they just came out and just blew the doors off their opponent that they should. So anyway, just wanted to point out that our predictions were correct. All right, so Bengals, any other keys of the game that you want to discuss?
No, it's all about ball control, and then it's all about pressure on Joe Burrow. And hopefully, I think the receivers match up against the defensive backs almost equal, right? So I think that's just going to be an awesome battle to watch. Can our DBs stay with Higgins and Chase? And can their DBs stay with Brown and Smith? Like, that's going to be fascinating. So whoever gets the most pressure and can make that quarterback uncomfortable, probably going to get the win. Turnovers, again, big deal. Like, we need Hurts to play a turnover-free game to have any chance in this game. Yeah, and we need that.
Burrow does not. One thing, Burrow, he does not turn the ball over much.
No,
I mean, he'll still throw the pick every once in a while, but he's not. Typically, he's pretty careful with the ball.
Yep. So we got to be smart. We got to be. If we thought we were good against the Giants, we have to be better, and then just let it rip. If they, I don't know what we predicted for this game, but this one will be close. I don't know. I see a lot of points coming off the board on this one.
Predictions. We'll wrap it up with the predictions, but it would be kind of neat to see Sidney Brown tackle his brother.
Yes, that would be neat. And the thing is, though, like I just said, it's so funny, though, because if you ask me 5 minutes later, I have devil's advocate coming out. How many points last week did the Bengals score? They only scored like 13 or something. Didn't they have a low-scoring game?
Yeah, last week they did. I think the week before they put up a lot. But I think they won last week, didn't they? Or did they? I think they won.
Yeah, I think they won, but it was like they were stuck in like a
closer game. Like they came out to a lead, and I think it was kind of like almost a scoreless second half or something.
Yeah.
So, I forget who played last week.
This is why we need our stat.
That's why we need our side statistician.
Yeah, I'm working on that. I might have a neighbor that would be ideal in that role. So,
all right.
I just have to let them know our business plan is no money.
All right, more to come. And plus, we could have our chat. Once we start live streaming, we could have some people just pump in and say, "Oh, it was so and so they played." They played the wasn't the Browns, was it?
I think they were. They were stuck in the stymie with the Browns.
Oh, the Browns. I'm looking at them like they played the Browns.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they won 21-14. By the way, that's another big injury. Not that he was playing well, but Deshaun Watson. Yep. You saw. I don't know if you saw it, Matt. I was watching it.
Yeah.
You saw his Achilles tendon pop.
Yeah. I don't know
if you saw
it.
It was nasty to see.
A lot of nasty injuries this year.
Like the camera just happened to be zoomed in too.
Yeah. Awesome.
On the play, and you see like his ankle just pop. Like this, like go up an inch. I'm like, oh man, he's done. As soon as I saw that, I'm like, he just lost his Achilles tendon. So yeah, they played the Browns, and they didn't score at all in the fourth quarter. They had they scored 7 in the first and then 14 in the third. That was it for the Bengals. So there's 2 quarters they didn't score at all.
Okay, so they came alive in the third quarter then, because it was like the whole first half was in the books, and it was like neither team had 10 points yet. I was like, what is happening out there?
Right. Yeah, at halftime it was 7-6.
Yeah, so the Bengals are struggling. So that's another team that's like, all right, is that for real, or are they just off? They haven't hit their get-right game yet. So this one should be a battle. I imagine it would be close. I think the Bengals are sick of losing. and they're very similar to the Eagles situation. So I think they're both trying to get right and stay right. So
they're both teams trying to find their way. They have really good offenses, but yet they haven't really been all that explosive. So yeah, the parallels between those two teams are very close.
Yep.
And they both need to win. The Bengals are 3-4, so they're not even at 500 yet.
Yeah,
because I think they lost the first 3 games, didn't they? I think they were 0-3 to start the season.
Yeah, they were 0-3.
Yeah, and they were 0-3 with Burrow playing pretty well.
Yep. Well, Chase didn't really practice much in the preseason.
That's right. Yeah, that's right.
He was
and Higgins was hurt too, I think, to start the season.
Yeah. Yep.
So now they're both getting in the swing of things. So yeah, that's going to be.
I love the match.
Yeah, it's probably going to be a high scoring game. So, do you have any other thoughts around the NFL before we go into the predictions, and we'll wrap up the show?
No, I think the teams that like preseason's done. So now you're seeing the teams that are really just not made of much are falling to the bottom pretty quick. And the other teams that are, the Chiefs haven't played a good game all season long and they're still undefeated. So Mike,
the strength of the Chiefs right now is their defense more than their offense.
So
they got a good defense.
You've got some good teams, the Lions, the Ravens.
Lions are very good.
But the Bucks just got all banged up, so they're going to fall off the tier a little bit here.
And Minnesota showed that they're legit because they fought the Lions to the end of that game. So Minnesota's for real.
Yep. And then you got the Vikings. And then so, the Packers, I don't know, they're kind of like in the Eagles category. Like what are these second tier teams right now are going to get on a hot streak and prove that they belong in that first tier? And I'm hoping the Eagles are one of them. But we're kind of seeing where they're at. The Commanders, by the way, they're still rolling. Jaden Daniels got hurt, and all of a sudden Mariota comes in.
He still put up 30-something points.
He throws 2 touchdowns. He looked the best I've ever seen him.
We're both not Mariota fans. I never liked that guy ever.
Yeah, he was on top.
He can come in and be at it. He can come in and win you a game or play well, but he's just not a guy that if Daniels was to miss like a month to come in and be that second quarterback, he's not.
We'll see. I'm kind of eager to watch that game, but I would say the Commanders are in the for real category. Yeah.
But, I would put them in there at least for now. I mean, at some point, maybe most quarterbacks do hit a rookie wall. Whether that's going to happen with Daniels, who knows? Right now, the guy looks phenomenal. He does. So they could very well be for real, especially when he goes down and they still put up 30-something points. Now I know they're playing Carolina, who's one of the worst, if not the worst team in the league. But
Carolina is awful.
Yeah, they're terrible.
I'm so glad
first play of the game, interception return for a touchdown. That happened early in that game.
Yeah,
down like 10 seconds in the game.
They're back to starting Bryce Young because Andy Dalton got in a car wreck yesterday and severely sprained his thumb. So the
Eagles do play Carolina, don't they?
Yeah, we will.
Year.
I can't wait.
We got that win.
I hope we have that one in the bag by halftime so that we see Tanner McKee come in the fourth quarter.
We should definitely have that game in check by halftime. But coming up after the Bengals, they play the Jaguars, which we know is a team that should be a win, but the Jaguars always play the Eagles tough. Then things get very interesting for the Eagles. And obviously, so the upcoming shows are going to be Dallas Hate Week after the Jaguars. And then 4 days later, after the Cowboys, the big Thursday night game on Prime versus the Commanders.
I can't wait for that one.
That's coming up. I talked to Johnny today.
I'll tell you what, just an overall NFL comment, the Thursday night games this year have been way better. They used to always suck, and they had some good matchups this year and some good games go down to the wire. So that's going to be another one of those. So I'm telling you what, that's why we needed this. I said, a week or two ago, I said we need a 4-game win streak. So we got the Browns and Giants slayed. We need to go get the win against the Bengals and then win next week against Jacksonville. And that's our 4 games. We need those so we can roll into Dallas with all that momentum.
Then we go on the road to Dallas, and then they're at home 4 days later against the Commanders, which that game will probably be for an early an early, obviously it will be for the division. More than likely, those two teams are going to be either one game apart or maybe tied for
That's
that
gonna
one.
be hard. That's gonna be a hard 2-game stretch right there. If they beat the Cowboys and they spend all their energy there, that's gonna be hard to.
And 4 days later, short turnaround against the Commanders. Yeah,
we could do it. Just
well,
run the ball.
I already spoke with Johnny, and he will be on. What we're going to do with that short turnaround is we will have our show recapping the Cowboy game and then previewing the Commanders game on that Monday night. So circle your calendar. We'll hopefully have you on there because Johnny will be on. We'll preview that game with Johnny, the Commanders fan, and that's going to be a big time week. We'll probably live stream. Hopefully, we'll be able to live stream by then. We'll have enough subscribers to want to chime in on that one.
Every week we get out of a game with no major injuries is a win. So let's go injury-free against the Bengals.
Yeah, especially now. Especially when you see all these major injuries. The Eagles, have dodged the big one. So, yeah. Like, you feel bad. I mean, I can't stand the 49ers. I'm just like one of those teams I just despise. But, man, they've been brutalized with injuries.
I would love to see a medical stat on this. Ever since they cracked down on the concussions and the high hits, how many folks have gone home with broken legs? I would love to see a stat on that because it seems like the injuries on that have definitely increased. And they even got rid of like the drop hip tackle, right?
Right. Yeah.
And it looked like that may have been what killed Godwin's ankle was that hip drop tackle.
Kind of the leg got trapped underneath the guys. He didn't really make the tackle like it was, but the way that he fell down was similar. He just used his body weight to bring him down, and his leg got trapped under his hip. And man, that was an ugly injury. That one I saw live, unlike the Hutchinson one. I still haven't. I just went with your description of what happened to that one. I haven't seen that one yet. That was enough for me.
Take a straight line and make it a right angle, and then put it back into a straight line. That's what happens.
Yeah, I mean Godwin's ankle, like if this is your leg,
it's almost backwards.
It was like pointing sideways.
Yeah, it's like 3/4 of the way in the right.
Yeah, I'm like, he's done. I felt so bad for the guy. I really did. Like, you hate seeing these guys get hurt.
Yep. Yeah, all of them.
Football's a physical game, man. Okay, so let's get to it as we're nearing the 1 hour mark. Bengals, Eagles in Cincinnati. Matt, who do you got? And what's the score?
I can't remember if I picked the Eagles to win or lose this game when we did our preseason predictions.
If I have them on,
but I'm gonna guess the Eagles get to 28.
Okay.
And it's just a question of, do the Bengals get to 31 or do they lose? I wonder what the spread is. The spread's probably what?
I don't know. It's a good question.
I wonder if the Eagles are favored by one, maybe. Like you have a point or two. Are you looking it up?
Yeah, I'm trying to see if it's going to give me the spread. This site might not give me the spread. Go ahead. Just keep talking while I'm looking.
Yeah, I'm guessing there's a 4-point difference in between those two. I think if you would normally give the Bengals 3 points for being at home, I think the Eagles are 4 points better than that. So I would guess the Eagles are at like a +1. But the
sounds about right. But hang on, I'm trying to find it here. Keep going.
I think the Eagles are going to get to 28. And now it's just like, does Burrow come alive? Do they block for him? Do they get to only 26? Or do they get to 31? I'll go at the risk of.
So the Eagles are favored by 2.5.
2.5. Okay. I was going to say that it's less than 3, but more than 1. Okay. God. Well, I'm going to say 31-28 Bengals, and that's just going to put some extra pressure. I don't want to sound like a homer every week and just go with the Eagles. But hopefully this will make, it's when I sit Hurts and I sit the Eagles on my fantasy bench, they usually crush it. So I'll go against the Eagles with this one. 31-28 Bengals win at home.
Wow. Okay.
Matchup.
Look, I mean, I think that could very well happen. Especially the way Burrow's playing right now. And to me, it comes. I mean, I don't think it could have a bigger keys to the game then Eagles D-line needs to get to Burrow. If that does not happen in this game, what you just said will happen. I don't think the Eagles will win if they don't get to Burrow this game.
Yeah.
So I guess for me, the question I have to answer is, do I think the Eagles line will get to Burrow this game? And I do think it'll be a close game regardless if they get to him or not. 31-28. But I have it somewhere, but I don't have it top of me as far as who you picked and who I picked. I actually forget who I picked to win this game too.
I think I probably picked the Eagles to win this at the beginning of the
I
season.
think it's going to be high. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I'll have that for the recap show, which I will be around, by the way, for this one. So not going to be going anywhere this weekend. So there will be a post game on Sunday afternoon. Okay, so I'm going to go. Man, I'm having trouble figuring this one out. Let's go. It's probably going to be higher than what I'm going to go with. But I'm going to continue to say, well, the Eagles are going to probably not score in the first quarter. Because until they do, you just got to almost assume that. So I'll take the first quarter into account, and I'll say the Eagles will have 27. And the Bengals.
If you say 30, I'm like, that doesn't really count. One below me. Like, that's not, you're like betting $1 on The Price is Right.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm just trying to see if I have the Eagles winning or not. Because I know what the score will be if I have the Bengals winning, and I kind of know if I have them losing.
Look, Bengals are driving down the field. They need a score from behind. 2-minute drill. Quentin Mitchell picks it off. Seals the deal.
Gets the first pick because he's unabated by any of his teammates.
Right. Just leave him alone out there. Let him be an island.
Yeah, on a pass attempt to Chase, he comes across and picks it off. Shoot. I think overall, my gut feeling this week is that the Eagles will win. Won't surprise me if they lose. I won't be surprised if they lose to the Bengals. But my gut feeling tells me they're going to win. Am I putting too much into what I saw against the bad Giants team? Maybe. I might be guilty of that. I'm trying to avoid that.
Hey, the Eagles generally have good games against the Bengals. Just like the Vikings.
I think they're usually tight games, too. They're usually very close. So haven't they tied the Bengals a couple times also?
Yeah. Remember when Bobby Hoying out through Boomer Esiason?
Well, yeah, the shootout game. That's right.
Like 4 times. We're like, who is this guy? It's a third rounder from Ohio State, Bobby Hoying.
Yeah. So just to throw this out there for any new viewers, and we assume that we have a lot of new viewers here. If there's any of you out there who don't think that we know what we're talking about with Eagles, Matt just threw out Bobby Hoying, which I'm going to assume that probably half of the audience has no idea who he is.
Look at
the other half knows exactly what he's talking about. But yeah, Bobby Hoying.
I think that was a Monday night game too. That was a primetime game. And
it was.
And Esiason were just throwing darts.
Yeah. And everyone, there was a short craze for Bobby Hoying for a time.
Very, very short.
And then the real Bobby Hoying showed up. He was not good.
He had one great game in his life, and that was it.
I don't know how the Bengals are going to score 26 points, but I guess
if they do, you know who's going to get them. It's going to be Chase. It's going to be Chase and Higgins.
Yeah.
I'm not about the running game. I think we'll be fine on the run.
I mean the number 26. It's kind of an odd number to get.
Oh, to get to 26? There's a safety in there somewhere.
Maybe. So I guess my thought process is I think it's going to be a 1-point game, and it's going to be around that. Could be 27-26, could be 28-27, could be 30-28, something like that is where I see it, which kind of where you have it. You're right there too. We're very, very close, except you got the Bengals eking it out. I have the Eagles eking it out. So we're very, very close on this one.
A blocked field, 2 points, isn't it? If you run that all the way back.
What's that?
A blocked field goal returned all the way is a 2-point, right? For the blocking team. So you can get it that way.
Sidney Brown. Well, actually, we're talking about their 26.
Yeah. I don't want to see it. We don't want to see it. I'm just trying to figure out ways you can mathematically
Yeah,
arrive
it's a weird number, but I don't know. I just wanted to come off the 24. I just think it'd be close. I really think it's going to be like whoever's the ball last is probably going to win the game, that type of thing. Or a late field goal, either Elliott or their kicker to ice it at the end. That's what I see. But I have the Eagles winning in a close one. You have them losing in a close one. We'll see what happens. Closing thoughts?
No, it's going to be an exciting game. I think this one's going to be a lot of fun to watch just because Mitchell is not going to back down to Chase. He doesn't back down.
He won't back down. But
Nope.
we're going to really find out how good this guy is.
He's either going to hang tough or he's going to be taught a lesson.
Right. Yeah,
so
he's one of the wideouts in the league that could be like, welcome to the NFL, Mitchell type of game. Yeah.
Yep.
Or Mitchell would be like, I'm a damn good freaking corner. Kind of come out game. Yeah.
It'll be fun to watch.
They may put Slay on him just because of experience. It'll be interesting to see. They'll do the same thing they did with Neighbors and have them play. They won't play matchup. Like when Neighbors went out to the right, I believe it was Mitchell on him. And when he went lined up on the left, Slay covered him.
Yeah.
They may do the same with Chase. But then again, they also have Higgins to worry about.
Higgins. There's too much to worry about. I think Chase will eat up Slay in some respect. Let the young boys eat. Run Barkley. Run Barkley.
Let the young guys eat. All right. Thank you everyone for watching. Make sure you hit the sub. Make sure you comment. Any comments we'll address in a future show, which will be the post game on Sunday. I will definitely be there. I will send the link to Matt. He'll join us if he can. Either way, I will definitely be here at the post game on Sunday. And then regardless, we'll have Matt join us as he usually does during the week next week. So with that said, thanks again for watching, Matt. Thanks again for joining the program as always. Yep. And fly, Eagles, fly. Let's get a win there in Cincinnati, even though Matt picked against them. I know that he's obviously rooting for the Eagles. But we'll see how this one. We both see a close game either way. So
it can't be a homer every week.
Can't be a homer every week. We're going to keep it real here. So we definitely expect a close game. So let's just hope the Eagles pull it out. And with that, fly, Eagles, fly. Go Birds. And we'll catch you next time. See you later.